everybody, it's Brittany and welcome back to my channel. Here on this channel I do videos related to books and autism, so if that sounds like something you'd be interested in, you might want to consider hitting that subscribe button. It really helps me out and I really appreciate it. So today I wanted to come to you guys with a book review. If you notice, the backdrop behind me is still of the cottage. My husband and I are not still at the cottage. We have in fact moved home. But my mom and I just came back up here just for the day. We're waiting on a new fridge and stove to be delivered here. So that's why I'm here. But I actually just finished reading this on the way up, and that is Curse of the Lord of Darkness by Reilly. And this is a very interesting book. It's definitely kind of a paranormal romance, but it is quite historical. So it says, so on the back it talks about, it's set in 1895 Connecticut, and there's this guy named Alexander Winslow who basically has this curse on him where every night he turns into a panther. And then we have this girl who's she's a New York heiress. Her name is Victoria Northcote, and she's running away from her uncle who's trying to have her killed. And so she goes to the sort of Winslow home. She's going to stay with a family friend, but she finds out the family friend is dead, and then so she ends up staying with Alexander Winslow, and he's trying to protect his secret from her about the curse and that. So it's a very interesting story. It's very short. It's only about 240 pages. So, I mean, it's very, very short. It didn't take me very long to get through. All in all, I would have to rate this story about 2.5 out of 5 stars. Normally I would rate a paranormal romance, sometimes, some of them, not all of them obviously, but some of them I have rated higher in the past. But this book really just didn't do it for me. I have a few issues with this book, but first of all, let's start with the good. The writing was very nice. I really liked her writing style. It flowed well. It definitely, it definitely flowed well. I liked how it didn't feel choppy at all. And that's really almost the only good thing that I can really say about this book. I'm really quite disappointed in it. I thought I would enjoy it more, but I really didn't. Also the cover is nice. I love this kind of cover. I love animals on book covers. It just makes me happy. So, especially like those green eyes in that panther, like that's just gorgeous. Those are gorgeous green eyes. So anyhow, yeah, so those are basically the only two really good things I can say about the book. The characters felt flat to me. I really didn't care about either of them, which, automatically right away that sort of, put down my enjoyment of the story. I really felt that the book was too short for what it should have been. I felt like the book was just mainly focused on the romance between these two characters. Um, obviously there was some mentions of the curse and that, but we don't really get a lot of like, how this curse came to be on his family and, those kinds of things. That's kind of the story that I wanted to focus on and how they were going to sort of undo the curse, which we do get a little bit more of that, but to be honest, the book is very short, so we don't really get a lot in depth of anything really. It's just it's too short. In 240 pages is just not enough, I think, for this story. Um, and also the the pacing feels very rushed. Um, and the romance is just very, very insta-lovey, and it honestly, it feels cheap. Um, I really was very disappointed because I really wanted to like this book. I thought I was gonna like it a lot more than I did. Um, the characters felt very flat. They didn't, like your sort of stereotypical, heiress and I got very much sort of Beauty and the Beast knockoff vibes from this when it was written. I don't think it was intended to be a retelling, but I definitely got very much sort of Beauty and the Beast vibes from it. Um, it just feels very it really felt cheap. It felt like, something there wasn't really a lot of focus on sort of the paranormal aspect and the curse and, his changing. We'd always get to the part where he was about to change and then it wouldn't talk about the actual process of him changing. It would just skip over and it would be like, and then Vicky woke up, and I'm thinking to myself, I really don't care. Like it just it frustrated me. And there was so much, description of, his hands running over her body and their lips meeting and like I really don't care about that stuff. I am not a romance girl. I don't like to read romances. To me, it's just a lot that I just don't need. Like I have a husband. I don't need to read about other people like rubbing each other's bodies and kissing. Like, no, thank you. Um, so I'm quite disappointed. The other thing about this book that kind of disappointed me, although I did know this going into it, um, is that it's set in 1895. So that's really a time period that holds very little interest to me. Um, I'm not a big fan of historical fiction, but if I am going to read or especially like historical fantasy, I tend to prefer either like urban fantasies that are set, like in modern times, like Harry Potter, or like high fantasies that are essentially set, you know, um, like, An Ember in the Ashes or high fantasies, Tolkien-esque, with elves and dwarves and that kind of thing. Um, or if it is going to be a fantasy that is set historically, I prefer it to be set kind of like during medieval times, so like King Arthur, that kind of thing, Black Cauldron, that sort of thing. I don't really like, you know, books that are kind of set like, in like the 1900s, 1800s, like books about, um, like history, that, like that kind of thing, like that kind of era. It holds very little interest for me. I have no interest in it, quite frankly. The only thing I really know about that era is that women were treated very much as second-class citizens. Not that they weren't in the medieval times, of course they were, but I just find the medieval times with, princesses and royalty, and I just find that much more interesting to me. Um, this other time period kind of in between modern times and that holds very little interest for me. I learned a lot about it in school. I got so sick of hearing about it. I really don't care about it. So there was that. Some people might find it more interesting. I didn't. I thought it was way too focused on the romance. I thought we should have seen more of Alexander's changes. I thought we should have seen more of, adventure in terms of how they dealt with this curse. I thought they were going to have to, go on this big journey to find the cure for the curse or something like that. But no, it wasn't like that at all. It was more of a romance than anything. And yeah, it was very disappointing. It wasn't the worst thing I've ever read. I want to make that clear. I did like the writing. Like I said, the writing flowed really well. The cover is nice. And also, the Alexander, his mysteriousness, it was nice in the beginning. Like in the beginning of it, I thought, okay, we're going to have a little bit of this and then we're going to move into, a better story. He's going to kind of develop over the course of the story and we'll start to see more and more about his changes and all that kind of stuff. And we don't really. We don't see that much more. There isn't really a whole lot of character development that goes on. I mean, but really what can you expect in a book that's 240 pages? But I still would have expected a little bit of character development. I just felt like it relied way too much on the romance, and to me it really just felt lazy. It felt like lazy writing. So 2.5 out of 5 stars, and that's really all I've got to say on that. Alright guys, I hope you all enjoyed this video. Please, if you've read this, comment down below and let me know what you thought. Please don't leave spoilers, just, for other people. I want to keep this review spoiler free. Oh, I also need to mention that I was sent this book for free by Miss Carrie Ray Barnum, so thank you so much to her for sending this to me. It was sent to me, it was not sent to me in exchange for a review, okay? I want to make that clear. This book was sent to me by her just for me to read, but she said if I wanted to do a review, both her and the author, she works with these authors, that they would really appreciate the honest feedback. And so it was kind of a, if I was willing to provide some reviews, then she was willing to send me, a whole pile of books. It wasn't a matter of, I had to do a review for each and every book she sent me. There's absolutely no obligation to provide a review at all. But any reviews that I do choose to provide are very much appreciated by her, and I enjoy doing them. So, yeah. So 2.5 out of 5 stars was not for me, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, leave a comment below, subscribe. It really helps me out, and I hope to see you all next time. All right, guys. Have a great day. Bye.